The Virginia Horse Industry Board, Southwest Virginia Agricultural Association, and the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association are proud sponsors of Virginia farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Brought to you by Farm Family. Life, auto, business, farm. Nancy Asher, stable owner, visionary, agent of change. Another personal story on farmfamilypeople.com. Farm Family, the people you know. Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. Rockingham County Fair is coming up in a couple of weeks. It's won international awards and we'll find out why when we talk to Jeff Ishee and Mike Gochenour on Ag Insights. Then we'll talk about adding color to your garden when we join Mark Viette in the garden. And as always, we'll have the Ag Calendar and a Minute in the Field video. All this plus the Ag News of the Week on this edition of Virginia Farming. There have been several confirmed cases of Potomac horse fever in central Virginia. The organism that causes the disease lives in a developmental stage of a freshwater fluke and infects aquatic snails and insects. Horses become infected by ingesting snails or aquatic insects through grazing and drinking. Now, the most likely route of infection is thought to be through the ingestion of infected adult flies. And due to the abnormally rainy weather, there may be an increased number of aquatic insects and snails exposing horses to this disease. PHF is not infectious to humans or other animals, and it's not transmissible from horse to horse. A PHF vaccine is available, and even though it's not highly effective in preventing the disease, it may reduce the severity of the illness. Well, after an incident in Oregon that killed 50,000 bumblebees, VDAX is reminding everyone who uses pesticides, either individual homeowners or professional applicators, of the importance of reading and following the instructions on the label. Pesticides include chemicals and substances that are used to manage undesirable insects, weeds, bacteria, and viruses. But regardless of their mode of action, pesticides must undergo a registration process with the EPA. Every pesticide reviewed and registered by the EPA contains a statement that requires users to use a pesticide according to its label, and failure to do so could result in civil or criminal penalties. Well, pesticides are only one problem facing bees and other pollinating insects. The USDA continues to research some of those other problems. Bob Ellison has more.
A world with many fewer bees would be a very different place, according to a U.S. Department of Agriculture bee researcher.
If there was a remarkable shortage of bees, we would see our breakfast tables looking a lot less appetizing, and we'd be paying a lot more for the food that we did have. We would have cereal, and that would be cereal and bread, and that would be about it.
Alzheimer was part of an effort outside of USDA headquarters in Washington, D.C. to educate the public about the importance of honeybees and other pollinators.
A lot of our fruits and vegetables are dependent on pollinators, whether it's honeybees or another pollinator.
Honeybee research has focused in recent years on problems confronting bees, like colony collapse disorder.
Basically what happens is that we have what appears to be a healthy colony, and over a period of a week or two, the vast majority of its workforce leaves the hive and never comes back.
Viruses and parasites are another problem facing bees.
They feed on the bees, and in the process of feeding, they would become infected by the viruses, and then when they go and parasitize other bees, they pass the viruses on to them. And once they pass the viruses on to the bees, then the bees become transmitters of the virus.
Alzheimer says part of the solution is to provide bees with resources and an environment in which they can flourish.
And putting them into fields where they can't meet their nutritional needs and they get exposed to pesticides is just not sustainable.
In Washington, D.C., for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I'm Bob Ellison.
Thank you, Bob. No one follows weather more closely than farmers, and now weather data from the state's agricultural research stations will be available to anyone with an internet connection. Virginia Tech recently upgraded weather stations at 13 research locations across the state. Found at the web address on your screen, the Virginia Agricultural Experiment Station, Mesonet, has all these stations linked together and is constantly pulling data like soil temperature, rainfall, air temperature, relative humidity, barometric pressure, soil moisture, wind direction, wind speed, and solar radiation. The intent is to help producers better their farms. One example is a researcher at the Alson H. Smith Agricultural and Extension Center who is using the data to track when cereal leaf beetles are most likely to lay their eggs so farmers can better their pesticide applications. The website also has radar from the National Weather Service to help track approaching storms. A Rockingham County farmer is using poultry litter to heat his poultry house. It's a prototype that appears to have a bright future. Glenn Rhodes, a Port Republic farmer, has joined the movement to go green by hosting a poultry litter furnace that could change the agriculture industry forever. The global refuel poultry litter furnace was installed in March of this year and has proved to be an innovation in farm technology.
This is an early production prototype that is in field test now. They're hoping to ramp up and produce them as the market develops.
The unit is able to process 180 pounds of litter per hour and has operated on Rhodes' farm for over 2 flock cycles. The brooder house demands quite a bit of heat for young turkeys, and so far the furnace has delivered.
We like a room temperature in the neighborhood of 90 degrees, and the furnace puts out approximately 140 degree air into the house. It's distributed throughout the house.
But the heat itself is not the only eco-friendly product of the machine. The byproduct ash is put to use as fertilizer in areas that are less rich in phosphorus, reducing pollutant runoffs to the Chesapeake Bay.
The valley has a high nutrient load with all the agriculture, so the phosphorus in the soil is building up over time. So part of the purpose of this is to remove that phosphorus from this area into areas that have a phosphorus deficiency. A ton of litter has approximately 67 gallons equivalent of propane in it, and if we can extract that heat and have the ash left over for fertilizer, it's just a really good situation.
In an attempt to reuse, recycle, and renew the valley's resources, the Farm Manure to Energy initiative was started. Along with its partners, this initiative helps to facilitate the use of technologies like this furnace to both renew energy and decrease nutrient pollution. The National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, a project partner, is helping to achieve these goals.
Agriculture within the Chesapeake Bay watershed and the Shenandoah Valley specifically is pretty intensive. And we're having excesses of turkey, chicken, dairy manure throughout the watershed. So trying to figure out a way to not only get those pollutants out of the watershed, but maybe get some benefit from them as well through energy production.
Glenn Rhodes was selected by the project due to his willingness to support and his extreme interest in alternative energies. Not only is Rhodes assisting this project, but he has developed his own tactics for eco-friendly farming, including using his own soy and canola crops as biofuel for his skid loader.
Personally, I've always had an interest in alternative energies of different types, and the thing that's really been fascinating is to be able to burn the litter, which is a waste product, and produce heat. And it's something that's now doable, and it's very exciting to be involved in the project.
Not only is the project helping the environment, but it's proving itself as an opportunity for viable renewable energy that could save farms money in years to come.
In agriculture, you can either increase your income or reduce your cost, and reducing cost is often easier than increasing income. So cost reduction is a big factor in being profitable.
Data is still being collected on the cost effectiveness of the model, and as the project continues, it will be improved to create viable and accessible solutions for farmers all over the country.
One thing about a project like this, it helps us as farmers, but it also is helpful to the environment. We're hoping to remove nutrients that are building up in the area and just clean up the watershed, and we're hoping other farmers can see a project like this and think, maybe that'll work on my farm.
Rockingham County Fair has received numerous awards, international awards as well. We'll get the inside scoop on this year's event. That's straight ahead on Ag Insights. The Rockingham County Fair has been around officially since 1949 and has been named the top agricultural fair in North America. It's my pleasure to welcome General Manager Jeff Ishee and Fair Board President Mike Gochenour. Gentlemen, welcome to Virginia Farming.
Thank you very much, Amy.
Thanks for having us.
So I want to go back to this 1949 thing. That's officially 1949 was our first Rockingham County Fair with this organization, but you say it actually goes back a little further than that, Jeff?
That's our understanding, and in researching history books, and people have donated anecdotal items, blue ribbons and so forth, and fair catalogs that go all the way back as far as 1912. So the Rockingham County Fair has been around a long, long time, and it's a renowned fair not only in Virginia but in our region and across the nation. But the official organization, the Rockingham County Fair Association, did indeed begin in 1949.
And I know that it is so much work for you guys, and I know that those of us who just attend the fair have no idea the work that goes on. And it's kind of like, you know, we always talk about the Macy's Day Parade and how, well, the next day they're starting on the next year's. That has to be the same for you guys because it's a constant organization and planning.
It's a real labor of love, and we're so thankful for the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that a lot of people go on vacation during Rockingham County Fair Week, and then they come and work at the fair all week. So they're taking a week of vacation from their regular workplace, and that's a true commitment and a dedication to what the fair stands for, is honoring agriculture and having fun.
Give us an idea of some things that have happened this year that our community has played a part in this beautification process.
Mike? You want to talk about it?
There's just numerous projects that are always going on. I mean, from volunteers that will come in and help maintain the fairgrounds to volunteers that help us with, say, our mulch beds and our plants and shrubs, to painting. There's organizations that have volunteered. I think even some of the 4-H organizations have helped volunteer paint and maintain. And that's very important to us because the fair is a very large organization now, but we only have I guess I'm trying to count here, 3 full-time paid employees. We have some part-time employees. Actually, I guess we're up to 4 full-time paid employees now. And that's for the size of operation we run, which is now a 52-week-a-year organization. It's pretty impressive. So without the contributions of the community, both in work, labor, as well as in donations and money, it just wouldn't be possible.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your awards. When we first started, I mentioned that last year, and that's not the first year, the Rockingham County Fair was named the top agricultural fair in North America?
That is correct, by the International Association of Fairs and Expositions.
That's huge. Now, how many times have you guys won that?
To my understanding, I believe it's the 19th time. Our former general manager said this would have been the 19th time that the Rockingham County Fair has received this award.
Wow, that's amazing. Right here in Virginia.
Well, it's a true agricultural fair, and again, thanks to our volunteers, all the people who put in countless hours working with the kids down in the barn complex, helping them learn how to exhibit their goats and their hogs and their cattle and their sheep. That's what it's all about. It is a very tight-knit community when it comes to Fair Week. We have 70 to 80 campers who come, and they actually live on the fairgrounds that entire week. And I think a lot of these kids make lifelong relationships and friends that they will always cherish that week at the fair.
Absolutely. I think it's really a great experience, especially for the kids who are showing agriculture, not just animals, but even some of the horticulture exhibits. And I know some of the 4-H members are, the girls especially, are involved in baking and submitting entries for that, and photography, and there's just something for everybody to get involved with at the fair.
There really is, and one thing I wanted to point out, and I know we have limited time, but one of the most popular areas of the fair in recent years, Amy, is our Agricultural Farm Heritage Museum. Every year, every fair, they focus on a different time period, and this year it will be the period from 1900 to 1950. Mr. Twig Strickler, who is one of the founding members of the poultry industry in North America, will be there talking with people about what it was like when the poultry industry started right here in Rockingham County back in the 1920s and 30s. But they'll have a lot of great displays, and that museum attracts a lot of people.
Well, he knows probably as well as anybody in this county about the poultry operations here, and what a great event, and it's something really great to take your kids to give them some background on what our county was and where we got started in being one of the largest poultry providers. I wanted to go back to this. I wanted to show everybody this award, and Jeff, if you can tell us a little bit about this. I'll hold it up for the camera to see.
It was a very humbling experience to step onto a stage in Las Vegas, Nevada, and accept that award on behalf of the Rockingham County Fair Association. There were over 1,200 fairs represented at that event, and the very first name that was called for an award was the Rockingham County Fair. And it was just a very humbling experience, and I have to thank the hundreds of people behind the scenes that make that what it is, and it's a real honor.
Well, it really is a nice tribute, and I understand this is not the only one you have. You've been getting these for a while now. But what do you think sets Rockingham County Fair apart from some of the other fairs? I mean, specifically winning awards like this. Mike, do you have?
Well, I've been involved with fairs my entire life. I grew up in Shenandoah County, which has a wonderful fair down there, and my family's been a part of it, so I'm very familiar with fairs and been to a lot of them around the state of Virginia and even in other states. And I think what sets Rockingham County Fair apart is their ability or their desire each and every year to be bigger and better. And it's not that every fair doesn't strive for that, but to actually be able to carry that through. And that comes right back to your volunteers and your community that allow us to do that. We have resources here that a lot of other fairs would just absolutely fall over backwards to have. And people every year ask me, I take off fair week. I'm one of the people who take the vacation off and work fair week, and probably work a lot harder there than I ever would on vacation. Probably work a lot harder there than I work at my daily job. And everybody says, why do you come back each and every year? And I think the main reason I come back and do it and spend so much time is that week of fair is just so neat. If you need something to happen, you can usually make a call, and it may be somebody you never thought you would call fair week. It may not have anything to do with agriculture. It may not have anything to do with anything that you ever would have thought of, and you can get it done. And it's a neat feeling to do that, and that's because everybody seems to like the Rockingham County Fair. I mean, it's kind of like certain things in life that you can't, that people don't dislike, and makes you smile, makes you happy, and that's our goal. And I think that hopefully that comes through, and that's what separates us, because we've set a new attendance record last year, and that's attendance record doesn't matter to a large degree, but it matters to us because it tells us as a board, tells us as a general manager, it tells us as a community that we support it, and B, what you're doing is working. And so, I encourage every year, let's set a new record this year, certainly.
Absolutely. It shows you're growing.
That's right.
And that's great steps. So real quickly, Jeff, if you can let our viewers know the dates of the fair and share some things that you have on tap for us this year.
Well, August 12th through the 17th are the official dates of the fair. All the information is at the website, rockinghamcountyfair.com. Of course, all the agricultural activities, a great midway at the Rockingham County Fair. We have the Agriculture Museum and grandstand entertainment second to none. Alan Jackson, Kelly Pickler, Old Crow Medicine Show.
Got a huge lineup
Easton
this
Corbin,
year.
I could just go on and on, but we're going to have a great time. Matter of fact, that's our theme this year, is having a good time.
Well, I think that's going to be the place to do it. And all week long, and that's the other thing about this fair is something every night. There's something different every night for everyone to see, and gives you a reason to come out every night and be part of that community. And it's a great fair, and we all look forward to it every year.
We invite everyone to come out and have a good time.
Best bargain around for $5.
Absolutely. You're right about that. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate taking your time out of your really busy schedule. We'll be right back. Adding color and texture to your garden can create the perfect resting place. Let's join Mark Viette in the garden.
You can find color in the spring, summer, fall, even in the winter. And around the time that your viburnums come into bloom with that beautiful fragrance, there are some other plants that you can plant around them, and that includes the Lenten rose, Christmas rose, or Helleborus. And this one here is just beautiful, which is known as pink frost with the beautiful dark foliage. There's another variety right here known as Winter's Bliss, and just look at the color and brightness you can have. Now these are bright shade plants and they're long-lived. Some of them reseed year after year. In addition to the spring blooming Helleborus, you've got the great Pollinators. They're also known as lungworts because they have spots on the leaves. And these plants I've just talked about here, the Helleborus especially, is a great deer-resistant plant. I almost call it deer-proof, so it has other advantages, but it's a great ground cover plant, all of these to give you some of that spring color at the same time that beautiful, fragrant viburnum blooms. Color can be added to the garden in a variety of ways. One way is to use foliage, and foliage can change. You know, you've got blue spruce, then you've also got some of your arborvitaes, and during the winter months your arborvitaes are going to change to a darker color, and then you've got very soft textures. So when you're looking in the garden, add some of these things, and with foliage that brighten up some of those places. It is important that you give your evergreens plenty of room. Some of these are dwarfs, some won't get big, but some of these evergreens can get 40 feet tall. One of my favorite evergreens to use instead of Leyland Cypress is the Gold Rider Leyland Cypress. And this is a great plant, and it gets only about 15 to 20 feet tall and maybe only 15 feet wide as opposed to 40 feet by 30 feet. So it's Gold Rider Leyland Cypress. But when you go and visit your full-service garden store, you will find a variety of these plants. You can also use them in your arrangement. Some of the bigger ones you can snip branches and use them in your flower arranging to add extra color even indoors. Look at this great color. Pansies and violas can be planted in the fall, sometimes even in the warm winter, even in the spring. So remember, there's plants that you can use, even including annuals during the summer. Just imagine beautiful coleus planted in the garden and in your containers. And I really like flowers that are showy. And then if you look closely at these pansies, you can see the vibrance and the difference within each and every flower. Always mass or mass of color, as you see behind me here, really gives you a lot of impact in a garden. But just imagine you creating your own little place just like this, sitting in these chairs in the evening and just enjoying all the color that abounds around you. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Taking a look at the Ag Calendar, the Virginia Tech Shenandoah Valley Agricultural Research and Extension Center will hold its 2013 Field Day on Wednesday, August 7th at McCormick Farm in Rafine. Researchers will be on hand to discuss ongoing projects as well as forage production, grazing, and forest management. Registration is required by August 2nd. That does it for our show. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, everyone. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Brought to you by Farm Family. Life, auto, business, farm. Steve Morse, fruit grower, distiller, entrepreneur. Another personal story on farmfamilypeople.com. Farm Family, the people you know. Join Virginia Farming on Facebook. Get updates throughout the week on topics that matter to Virginia farmers and consumers. Share your thoughts and ideas with us and stay connected with agriculture in the Commonwealth. Find us and like us. Virginia Farming on Facebook. We'll see you there.